Whether we believe it or not, we all have to learn things that, frankly, you weren't taught in kindergarten and things that you didn't learn when you got your bachelor's and your master's degree. It's called the practical side of running a business and being a CEO and out there doing what you have to do to make things happen and build relationships and grow a business. And it can be exhausting. But if you find the right folks to help you get there, it's amazing how fast and how great things can be and how much fun it can be. I'm having more fun than I've ever had in my entire career. And it's all because I chose to go out and run my own business. Today, our guest is Max Lambright, and Max has got some great experience to begin with, but also on top of that, he's running a new venture called the Executive's Chair, and we'll talk more about that, where he's helping CEOs get what they need to be able to move forward and grow and be the best CEO and run the best business they possibly can. Max, thanks for being here, man.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I'm thrilled to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your journey. You've been doing this for a day or two, so tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, well, I'm too old to hire, too young to retire. So, I am now an 8-time CEO. This is all come about the 8th time's come about in the last couple of months. I was running a company up in Cleveland on the east side. We were remanufacturing commercial cleaning equipment and brought in new investments back in early 19. And, anytime you bring in new investments or new investors, they want to bring in their own leadership team. That's just part of the game. And so I thought I was going to gracefully exit out to a retirement plan where I'd actually set up a distribution network where I was importing commercial cleaning equipment from a place called Wuhan, China. So you can imagine how fast that fell apart in March of 2020.
Yes,
cliches are cliches because they're based in truth.
Yeah.
This is a cliche. You want to make God laugh, showing your business plan. Well, in March 2020, he was laughing and I wasn't. So I went back to what I was doing before, which is mentoring sitting CEOs and next generation CEOs, which I call aspiring CEOs, into how to really prepare themselves to be successful in that role. Because I don't know if you know it, sir, but depending on which survey or study you believe, and I think most of them are right here, it's the percentages may vary, 30 to 70% of small and medium business CEOs will not finish their first 18 months successfully.
First 18 months, that's all?
Yes, that's right.
Wow.
They will not finish it in the first 18 months. They will be relieved of their duties or they will quit within 30 to 70%. I think it's right about 50. About 1 out of 2 will fail in that first 18 months. And that's because there's very good reasons for that. You talked about that in your intro. It is the things you didn't learn in school or in your MBA program. There are no CEO schools.
Yeah.
There are no leadership schools.
Mm-hmm.
You can go learn about management. Right? You can go learn about, P&Ls and all that good marketing and all that good stuff. But there are no schools how to be a CEO, how to really truly be a visionary leader, which all great CEOs are. And, that's what we're working on right now, is trying to provide that type of mentorship, that kind of support, that kind of, resources so that, the sitting CEOs today in small and medium businesses or the next generation of CEOs is better prepared for that. Because I got a little quiz for you here, sir. What's the average age of a CEO in the United States right now?
50?
59.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's going to be a huge transition here in the next 10 years to the next generation of leadership. And the majority of them, like 99%, aren't prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's for sure.
their current organizations aren't prepared to support them in that role.
Wow. That's amazing. Max, talk to me about well, I'm particularly interested in, because I are one, the CEO of a small company that, maybe it's one or two employees, and, okay, I've got the title, I've coined that title of CEO, but in reality, I'm as much a CEO as I am the janitor.
Right?
What does somebody like me, what do we need when we got that small business with, handful of employees and self?
One of the first questions I ask a new client when I begin to work with them, and I don't work with companies, I work with the CEO. Mm-hmm. I don't need to see their team. I don't need to see their building. I don't need to see their factory. If they're a solopreneur or a very small, micro organization, I don't need to see their little rental room. I don't care about that. All right. But one of the very first questions I ask them is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And what do you want your company to be when it grows up? And I get the same response every time. They laugh at me.
Yeah.
And then they look at me on the Zoom call and they see, hey, he ain't laughing. And then there's this silence. And that silence sometimes has gone on close to 5 minutes while they're sitting there thinking about it, because they never thought about that.
That's right.
Okay. And that's the question that's the first question they really need to answer. I mean, everybody needs to answer that. What do you really want to, why are you doing this? It's the old why question. Are you doing it just because you need a paycheck? Well, you're going to continue to be in that mode for the rest of your business career if that's all you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're going to try to build something bigger than yourself, and you've got some ideas what you want to do, not necessarily how, because the how's a whole different story. Mm-hmm. All right. But if you got some idea what you want to do, then you can put together a roadmap for yourself to get there and your corporation. So that one or two person entity, I get pushback when I talk to folks like that. Well, I don't have time for that. It's just me and my partner. We don't have time for that. We're just trying to make payroll. Well, I'll tell you, I've run companies of 250 people that on Thursday night, I was trying to make payroll on Friday as well, too.
Yeah.
Okay. Those problems don't go away. They get bigger, but they don't go away.
Right.
All right. So you need to start, you're going to have to do that planning sometime. So it's the old Zen thing about when's the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago. When's the second best time?
Today.
Okay. Right. And so when's the best time to figure out why you're doing this and what you really want to be when you grow up? Well, it's today.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the first step in a very long and involved process, but that's the first step.
Wow. Yeah. And that's something that, there are three major questions I ask my clients, very similar. Mm-hmm. What is it that you want? What is it that you want when this is all said and done? What is it that you really want? What's that vision for the future? And why do you want that? What's going to get you up and fuel your getting out of bed every morning and putting your feet on the cold floor? Mm-hmm. And then comes, as you say, then comes the how, the strategy of exactly what you want to do. And I find that when I get to that point with folks, a lot of times their strategy is, well, Morris, I want to do everything. I want to sell all the products, and I want to sell it to all the people, and I want to do everything there is to do that can bring revenue into my company. And, I don't want to miss anything. So I'm going to do it all. I'm going to focus on everything.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Max?
Well, there's two cliches that I'm going to steal from other people. You can't be all things to all people, so you better be something to somebody. And Mark Twain said the easiest way to piss off everybody is try to please everybody.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And it's true. Okay, it really is. You have to decide who you're going to serve, not sell to, but to serve. Because unless all you want is a transactional business where you're just you're happy with where you are and you just want to pay the mortgage and show up for 40 or 50 or 60 hours a week. And it's America, or it doesn't have to be America. It's your business. You can be whatever you want to be. I mean, you have free will on this.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a miserable way to live, but if that's what you want, go right ahead. It's you're the one that started it. But if you really want to grow something and leave a legacy, all right, really leave a legacy that has measurable impact, then you have to decide who you're going to serve, and then put together the plan, the how, and first, and then why you want to serve them. And then you put together the plan, the how and the where and the when and all that other good stuff that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
you have to start with, I want to serve, people ask me, how do you engage employees today? Well, you engage employees in an organization, even if it's a very small organization, by having them personally involved in understanding how together you're building something bigger than yourselves. All right? And
Yep.
that sounds all airy-fairy. It's not. That's why so many of these young generations, and I've got kids that are, working for large corporations right now, that love their job but don't feel engaged at all with the organization they're working for.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
They love the job. They couldn't care less about the company,
Boy.
right? Because they don't see the engagement they have. What they do at 40 hours or 50 hours a week is doing for something just bigger than themselves, for a paycheck and some lousy dental benefits. Okay.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
All right. But in a small and medium business, small businesses, and they work for very large organizations. And I understand that. I've been there, done that. You have too. You know what that's like. All right. But in a small and medium business, you can actually personalize the growth. You can personalize the engagement. You can personalize the contribution that individuals have. And that's how you immediately begin to address the attrition and turnover program. 63% of U.S. employees right now, today, are actively looking for a job, Morris. 63%.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we sit there and we say we believe it, but isn't that a scary figure to you?
Oh, yeah. It really is.
Right.
And just the fact that, Max, I worked for New York Life for over 32 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, I did okay and it worked out pretty well. But still, I was there for 32 years. Today, what I see is people just jumping from one place to the next almost as fast as they can. And it's like they don't realize that the grass may be greener over there, but that's because it's got more fertilizer on it and somebody watered it.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say what the fertilizer is. But
no, we don't know what that is.
I mean, it's not greener over there because it's greener. It's greener over there because somebody watered it and worked at it. So
let me ask you a question. What year did you join? I'm going to age you here, but what year did you join New York Life?
Let's see. I graduated from college in '79 and was an engineer for 5, so 84.
What was the first year that you remember them having a reduction in force, a RIF?
Oh golly, I went into management 3 years later. I timing slips me, Max. I'm not sure I could do the timing, but I know there were plenty of times I had to do some of them myself where, yep, okay, it's time to lower head count. We've got to drop, everybody's got to find a way to drop head count by, 10% or something. And we did that mainly through retirements and those kind of things. But still,
Right.
There were some folks that were said, hey, I'm sorry, this job is no longer needed. We don't need your job anymore. So you can either go do that job over there or have a great day.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I think you and I would both agree, and I know I'm putting words in your mouth, that any corporation, any large corporation size, is going to, it needs to replenish the talent, upgrade the resources. And that is a normal percentage of that, or an acceptable percentage of that is about 10% a year.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there are bad hires. There are people that their situations change. They just don't want to be there anymore. It's not working out for either party. Now, that's not what we're talking about today with these tech RIFs. where they're just, laying off 10 and 20 and 30,000 people because leadership, management, supervision, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to use the word leadership, did a lousy job of planning for the planning for the business, planning for the head count, planning for what's going to happen. And now all these employees that are paying the price for leadership screw ups, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I worked for I worked for NCR and AT&T right out of college. I'm older than you are. So I started back in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a riff until we got almost to the tech meltdown around 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Now were people exited because they didn't meet their numbers, or they were the wrong hire, or they just weren't, it wasn't the right situation? Sure, that happens.
Yeah.
But not what we're seeing today.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you expect these kids today to show any kind of loyalty when you're running an operation like that. I'm sorry. I'll get off my soapbox here, Morris. I'm sorry.
I think you got a very good point. Dr. Phil did a show about quiet quitting a few months ago, and a friend of mine, Amy Scruggs, was on that show. Mm-hmm. Amy runs her own business and has been a mortgage consultant and a mortgage lender in that work. I'm sure I'm using the wrong words, but she did that for a while, then trained and supervised a group to do that. And all the while, she was in the world of country music, and now she's got a whole couple of albums out and a couple of really nice country music hits. Not because she sat around and was quietly quitting, but because she was working and always constantly trying to get ahead, trying to do something more. And I've had a couple of very significant conversations with younger people that, what do you mean, Morris? Of course, quiet quitting is a good idea. There's always something better that's going to come along. All I got to do right now is just hang in there and do what I'm asked to do, and something good's going to happen somewhere in the future. But for right now, all I got to do is just, put in my time, get here at 8:05 and leave at 4:55.
Yeah, that's a gamble that, craps players use out here in Las Vegas, where I live, to beat that choppy table right there. Is that, I'll just keep leaving a job or leaving an opportunity because sooner or later something is going to come along that really is the right one for me. It's like, everybody looks good at closing time on Saturday night in the bar, right?
Yes, sir.
And every new opportunity looks good when when you haven't decided what it is you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah.
So that's a treadmill that's awful hard to get off. But I think have we gotten off the track of where you wanted to go here?
No, we're right on target, brother. It's right. Mainly just to help get your expertise and knowledge and thoughts out about a number of different things that have to do with business. And this is certainly one of the key things that is challenging every business, small and large, right now, is the lack of a desire to figure out what I want in the long haul and then go after it. Go after it, run, work, try,
Back to you're absolutely right. Back to your original question, what can the person who's running the solopreneur or the 2 or 3 person shop do? This is going to sound like it's, just a chapter in a business book, but I really believe this. And is that no matter the size of the organization, the leader, whatever your title, you can be king of the world for all I care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You need to surround yourself with excellence, both internally and externally. All right. And what I mean by that is that, a 1 or 2 person, a solopreneur, does have to both run the business and grow the business. And that's an extraordinary struggle. We've all been there, and most of us have been there and done that. It's a tough time. If you do it right, it doesn't always last, all right, or shouldn't last, because you're going to grow to where you get to the point where you can actually truly be the CEO. Mm-hmm. Now, CEO of an organization of size, which is 10 to 15 employees or more, their number one role isn't to run the business, their number one role is to grow the business. You know, you
Yes.
surround yourself with that excellence, that senior leadership team or your senior operational team that's really in charge of the day-to-day operation. And you need to work, you know, as Gerber says, you need to work on the business, not in the business.
Yep.
Okay. So you do that internally, but you also do it externally, because you'd be stunned where the help will come from. You really do surround yourself with the best professional services partners. You've got the best attorney, the best accountant, the best tax person, if they're not the same person, the best, what I call the kitchen cabinet. And, you know, it's an old political term where the candidate surrounds himself with people that don't work in the office, but they're the people who can say to the candidate, look, you're screwing this up, you're messing this up, you're missing this opportunity. They'll speak truth to power. Okay.
Yeah.
McKinsey, in their latest issue of McKinsey Quarterly, talks about the 6 characteristics that are the things that a new CEO has to learn. And they're talking about large corporations. And one of the things they talk about is that exact term, kitchen cabinet, surrounding yourself with people who will speak truth to you. All right, when you're starting to get off the rails. And as it doesn't matter what size of organization, you have to build that kitchen cabinet around it you. It doesn't matter how supportive your spouse or partner is, or your pastor or your minister or whatever, or your rabbi. You know, you got to have those people around you that'll speak the truth to you and not what you want to hear. And they will also then provide the context and the connections and the referrals for you that will help you grow your business.
I love that kitchen cabinet. That is so true. I've never heard it put that way, but by George, you really have to have that group, because groupthink is real. Groupthink occurs if you got a group that's just trying to make you feel good. Boy, howdy, you can go down the rails wrong way. Kennedy found that out. But I tell you, it's amazing. I think you're absolutely right, because if not, one day somebody's going to wake you up and show you where, gee, you know, over the past X period of time, you didn't realize what was really going on. And because of that, we're going to have somebody that really does realize what's going on. And you're going to get replaced.
You're absolutely right. I'm trying to lead you here on this, but one of the things I get asked a lot, because I'm fortunate enough that a number of people have asked me to come on and guest on their shows and talk about these same type of topics. They say, what's your biggest screw up? Well, the biggest screw up has always been the same thing. And it's, you know, there's been one really huge one, but there's been other ones that are similar to that. And it's always been a people decision I made. And almost always to the point where I hired the wrong person, even when I knew in my gut. My spouse at the time told me not to. My senior leadership told me not to. My director of sales told me not to. Even the janitor told me not to hire this person because they're a schmuck. Okay. But no, I didn't listen. I was the CEO. My ego knew what was best. I was, 6 months later, Morris, I was out of a job. Yeah. All right. I made the hire. I made the decision. All right. And, having that kitchen cabinet, you truly do trust. You have to trust them. All right. And then you have to listen to them. All right. I wouldn't have made that decision. All right. And if you hire your senior leadership team and tell them you trust them, then you better actually walk the walk instead of just talking the talk on this, right? Yeah. And if they tell you don't do this because that person's a schmuck and they're going to ruin the place, well, you listen to them. Yeah. But I didn't. Okay.
No, I understand completely.
That's the power of a kitchen cabinet right there. And how not to do it.
Oh, my friend, we could probably, given our level of experience, our wonderful years of experience, we could probably spend the rest of the show talking about the things we could have done better. But
absolutely. Yeah.
We are all human, but I tell you what, I think you're absolutely right. Those major decisions that were incorrect, that probably could have been solved a lot faster and a lot easier if I had just listened to the people around me that I said I trusted, but no, as you say, My ego,
Mhm.
my boss mentality, no, I know how to do this, and I'm the only one that knows how to do this, so we're
Right.
going to do it my way. And that got me into trouble time and time again.
Absolutely. Yes,
Hmm.
sir.
Max, tell me real quick what you think about being a salesperson in today's world. I just changed tracks on you 110
Sure.
degrees, but
No,
what do you think about being a salesperson in today's world, a professional salesperson?
I really believe it is much more challenging. And if you would have told me that I would say this 20 years ago when I was out in the field carrying a bag, that it would get even tougher than it was then, uh, I would have told you you're nuts. Let's go have a beer. But I really do because the other stuff. But the power of that face-to-face personal connection that we utilized because we didn't have any other technique or any strategies or tactics other than that back in the day
Mm-hmm.
when I was out there carrying a bag, to me seemed like it was, excuse me, much more powerful. Now, there are people out there right now that are smart, a lot smarter than me, that have really learned how to use the technology today and use the access and the funnels and things like that obviously I never was able to access and use. I mean, they'll tell you that it's still challenging right now, but they have much more capabilities. And I'm rambling on a little bit here. I think it's, to me, it's not a black and white situation. It's, I think there's some much more challenging characteristics or situations, but I also believe and know that there's much more capability to be better at your job today than there was back then.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can do the homework. I mean, I've always believed, and when I ran sales forces, the successful sales reps had a couple of characteristics or a couple attributes or a couple practices, I guess would be the best word to use, that I thought really distinguished them from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that one of them was that they did their homework.
Yeah.
They knew what impact whatever products and services we were providing had or could have on our potential customers. I tell sales reps, your customers don't expect you to be an expert on their business. They pray that you're an expert on how your product or service can impact their business, because there's so many of the sales reps today don't. There's some other statistics out there that I saw this year that have blown me away. Yes, Sales Excellence, the organization, they
I'm
did a survey.
not familiar with them, but please go ahead.
Okay, well, they did a survey of 3,000 small and medium businesses in the United States last year. And so, 3,000, that's a representative number.
Yeah.
91%, and I'm not making this number up, 91% of the respondents, and the respondents were 3,000 respondents. They probably, they probably surveyed more than 3,000, but they got over 3,000 responses back. 91% don't do any sales training.
Jeez, I'm Pete.
65% of them don't document their sales process.
Oh my.
I mean,
Oh my.
how do you, so what's changed today as opposed to back then? I mean, I think I said earlier, we talked, I got to be trained through the NCR Sugar Camp sales training.
Mm-hmm.
I went to AT&T University, where both of those, if you didn't pass their sales training, you were out of a job. All right. We learned how to sell back then.
Yeah.
And the company provided that for us. That's not happening today. And it's certainly not happening in small and medium businesses.
Wow.
Well, go to the internet, go read a book.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
come on.
That doesn't work when you're trying to learn a skill.
No, it doesn't.
Just doesn't work. Max, I could sit here and you and I could chat and have them bring us another glass of wine or two, and we could probably go for the next few hours. But I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap this one up. Any final thoughts? I mean, the CEO executive chair that you're working on right now sounds really interesting. It just launched, right?
That's correct. Well, officially launched. We soft launched a couple of months ago, and what it is I got 4 partners, and we're all ex C-suite, serving C-suite executives, and we've built an online subscription-based peer-to-peer community, where safe community, where any members are vetted of current CEOs or next generation leaders, which we call aspiring CEOs, can access and get the support, the training, the mentoring, the resources that they so desperately need in a way that's available, accessible, and affordable. I mean, we're charging less than $1,000 a month for this, and there's no long-term contract. There's no sign-up fee. Mm-hmm. All right. And then they get weekly not sales training, weekly leadership training. Well, there actually is sales training as well, too. Mm-hmm. But they also get the power then of the community, because CEOs love to talk to other CEOs.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Especially if it's in a safe environment, telling stories, having that resource there, having somebody else that's being challenged by this or has wisdom that you don't have, that you can tap into or hopefully share as well. So we've built it out, and as I said, we've officially launched it. We get double-digit growth each week, and we're having a lot of fun with it.
Boy, that sounds fantastic. I tell you what, that thing, yeah, I wish I'd had that some 30 years ago. Look, if you'd like to, precisely. If you'd like to find Max, you can do that at max@executiveschair.com. And I know he'd be glad to hear from you. Max, thanks again for being with us today on the Business of Sales.
I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you, and I wish you and your audience nothing but the best.
Thank you, kind sir. And for everybody else out there, y'all go out and make it a great day. Make it a great week. Have some fun out there. Meet somebody new. And I'll see you again next time right here on the Business of Sales.